he will be speaking to us about the policies and implementation of the new frontier parks. Please welcome Mr. Tiago Guerreiro.
Good morning. His Excellency Prime Minister Tuvuada, His Excellencies, the Ministers, ladies and gentlemen. Before I step into the presentation, I would like to speak a bit about my experience, about a small story in Sao Tome. Sao Tome is different from many other countries. When I arrive in Sao Tome, what you notice immediately is that when you step out of the plane, the bureaucracy is perfectly transparent. Things are straightforward. When you get into your car, you notice that the traffic is organized. When you cross a street, you notice that people stop to let you pass. When you are going to shop, and I did a lot of shopping in terms of chocolates there and coffee, because I think they have the best chocolate in the world and probably the best coffee. The shops respect the schedules. And if they are open from 9 to 5, they're open from 9 to 5. You walk in the street and you feel safe. What you notice is that people don't look at you, you walk around, you feel safe, and you feel respected. What does this mean about Sao Tome? This is different from many other countries. You feel comfortable. You feel that there is organization and it is transparent. And you find this where? You find this in London. You find this in Zurich, Geneva, or you find this in Luxembourg. So these people have one thing that is very, very rare. They have the software. And this is probably the most difficult thing to get in a country, which is people that are, in terms of civilization and organization, as in a developed country. The only thing they need, and of course they have difficulties, as His Excellency the Prime Minister spoke about them, they are like an uncut diamond. And they are in a perfect situation in terms of a hub. They just need some investment and some training. But they have all the base with some investment to get there. And this is, if you've been in Africa and you've been in many other countries, this is very rare to find. I'll start now with my presentation. These are some ideas about Sao Tome, some information that has already been addressed. What are we trying to find here? Sao Tome is in a perfect place to be a hub for the Gulf. And what can this offer? It can offer what a small country, very well localized, can offer to a very wealthy area. It can offer a basis for a system of commodities exchange, concessions on the exploitation of certain services, currency conversion, and capital repatriation. The idea is to create a hub, OECD compliant in terms of taxes, which will be similar to Singapore, to services offered like in Switzerland, with the necessary adaptations, of course, or Luxembourg. So what we're trying to find here is a place where you want to do business, where you feel comfortable to be in, to live in, and to trade and make money. The idea is to create, and as His Excellency the Prime Minister already presented, an idea of an investor one-stop shop to create legislation and a system in which you have only an intermediary for your investment, and you have a period of approval which will be very small, from 2, 3 to 4 weeks, maximum 2 months of your projects, so that you can implement them in a straightforward manner. Also, because it is an area of extreme wealth, which has some of the wealthiest persons in the world, to offer something that only small countries and people that work in the wealth area do understand this, can offer family office and wealth management services. Because it's near, it's from a 2-hour flight, 1.5-hour flight, from very, very wealthy areas. And it is safe at the same time. So it can provide a lot of these services to these persons and bring them also to invest in Sao Tome. We will also offer for investors partial tax holidays for companies. The idea is to, of course, being OECD compliant, to offer very interesting tax regimes, which will have very small taxation or tax holidays, or a tax holidays regime with no taxation, depending on the investments, but at the same time, that will not be qualified as discriminatory, that it is OECD compliant, and will permit investors to, for example, distribute their income directly to holdings in Luxembourg, in UK, in Singapore, or in the United States, so that you can return your profits into other markets without problems of anti-money laundering or harmful tax practices. The beneficial tax regime for individuals. We know that there is a huge market for wealthy people. We look at, for example, the non-dom regime that we have here in the UK, or the cantonal agreements that you have in Switzerland, or the regimes you have in Singapore, or the regimes you have, for example, in Portugal or Spain. There is the need for, and there is the demand for these kind of regimes in the area in a very practical way. So it is also to offer a harbor to these people which do need these services and sometimes have problems either with these areas or do not want to fly 6-7 hours to have these services. So Sao Tome could not be better located in terms of geography and software from the people to offer these services. It will also offer a nationality application which will be also compliant with OECD in order to permit to these wealthy people or other investors to have the nationality of Sao Tome and the requirements which will be developed. We will also offer a duty-free market. Why? Because some of the most biggest fortunes in the world and the middle class need a place to buy. And if you've been in Sao Tome, it's perfectly safe. It's very comfortable to walk in. So there is a market to invest in these areas and to develop the free shop areas where you can buy and you can be comfortable with it. And we'll offer also a judicial system. We based on arbitration, international arbitration, which will permit you to choose between common law and civil law, and will be based on an international arbitration system. Why? So that investors do not have the risk of misinterpretations of their interests. So regulation will be as sophisticated as you find here in the city, or as you find in Geneva, or probably even better than the United States, which tend sometimes to make interpretations pro-American. So what we want is to have a judicial system that is totally neutral and total pro-business. These issues and the financing and the regulations will be made so that this area can be also explored by investors under concessions. So the government will, of course, fiscalize through independent agencies, but the development of these areas will be made under international rules, of course, compliant with Sao Tome, and explored by external partners. What is the idea behind this? The idea behind this is to offer always independency, compliance, and competitiveness with these areas that I quoted, which will be similar to what we want to develop in Sao Tome. We'll develop also a commodities exchange. Why? Because, as His Excellency, the Prime Minister already presented, this is an area which has a lot of raw materials which are traded worldwide. And there is a place and there is the space for a part of these operations and businesses be developed based in Sao Tome, regarding to trading of oil, gas, copper, iron, and agricultural products and others. The standards will be developed again like international standards. So the idea is to bring to a safe haven, to a comfortable place where you can be on your stock exchange and you can walk to, if you work there, you can walk to your house by foot, and you can do footing and dive probably in the beach after a hard day work in a comfortable area that you cannot do in some of the countries around. And this is essential to attract human resources and to be successful. So to support this, the port are being improved. The airport will be an international airport with flights for diverse countries, and people that fly a lot, and most of the people that are here do fly a lot, will benefit from another thing. If you're European, you have no jet lag. You know, the time zone is similar to UK, so it is very comfortable to go. When you go to Singapore, which is a wonderful place, you have a lot of jet lag, and here it's the same time zone. You have a direct flight, you'll be there. It's difficult to get into the areas where we do business with, and the country is beautiful. You know, it's a nice place to be, and in a very rich surrounding area, which is nice also to get money. All these infrastructures will be developed to support the activities. The systems of duties will be very transparent and very straightforward and very stable, in order that no doubts or issues will be raised. One of the issues that sometimes is raised regarding some of the countries of the Gulf of Guinea is that they change laws. The idea here is to offer standstill clauses which will defend the investor. So you'll know for sure that from 5 to 10 years, when you have an approved situation, the regime will be stable for your business. And that will give you confidence, and these will be submitted to arbitration, international arbitration. So you'll be confident that they will not change it. And we have this problem in developed countries, which they say, this tax regime will be this, but they change it, and they change it. And if you look at the market and operate with, for example, Switzerland, they've been changing the tax regime, for example, for wealthy individuals. In UK, they've been changing the regime. So here, through a standstill clauses, you'll be comfortable with the regime. Sorry, there's some kind of problem here. All these will be, of course, supervised by the regulatory authorities. Regulatory authorities will be trained to supervise this, and also the relation between investors and regulatory authorities will always be done through a one-stop shop system, which is straightforward. It will also provide a service of currency conversion. This will be guaranteed by international banks, which will make possible that the traded goods can be exchanged in different currencies, from the yuan to the dobra to the real, and currency conversion will be guaranteed on a daily basis. Also, repatriation of profits and of capital will be totally liberalized. I've already spoke about capital repatriation. The capital repatriation and also the profit repatriation will be designed in a form to be free but OECD compliant, so that it can be distributed even if from where it's invested to any country worldwide. All these investment will be awarded, all these areas will be awarded to investors as in countries which developed similar systems. And the idea here is not only to permit these investors to by the operation activities, make money, but to make it as competitive as possible and to go search for investors in an active manner. The more investors they get, the more operational companies they get, the more they'll get from licensing fees and the more money the country will have. So it will be a perfect system in terms of generating growth. It's a totally pro-business environment. The idea is to create a totally pro-business environment and flexible from a private sector view, which is essential. And this is something that less and less we get in, for example, EU and the United States, which is the state has a view of reality which sometimes makes things harder and more difficult for investors. Here we're starting exactly from the opposite. We want to listen to you and to your needs, to design and apply things in a way that, of course, have to be OECD compliant, but that make you do business in a simple manner, straightforward, and that make you make money. And of course, it will be very beneficial for Sao Tome. Which things are related? If everybody wins, it's positive. I don't have much time to speak about this. That's why I summarized a bit the ideas of about this area. But the whole idea is to have you doing business there, to have you the opportunity to bring your investors there, to develop a stock exchange there which will serve as a hub to the areas, to have an industrial zone also to serve as a hub to the area, to develop services there which are oriented for financial area, for wealthy investors, and for all the business community. So we're developing with the support of Sao Tome and His Excellency, the Prime Minister, which has probably the most pro-business view of the world that I've noticed. He's very pro-business, he's very pragmatic, and he's very cosmopolitan. To transform Sao Tome in a hub for the area. I think in this view, we have an opportunity to have a hub, have a good life in this area, bring investors, bring quality of life, and make money. And this is generally the whole idea of the project. An alternative to the hubs in Europe, near all these wells, near an area which trades hundreds of billions of dollars in raw materials nearby. Thank you.